Hello, welcome, stop. Right, hi replay viewers, hi live viewers. I am here to talk with you about lead generation today. So let me just adjust things here. It has been an interesting day today. Gosh, I'm a bit dark, never mind, I'm sure you can see me okay. So, here we are, and yeah, I've been asking you what are your top questions on lead generation, and I'm going to answer them for you. So pop them in the comments, and if what you ask isn't covered during the live stream, then I will come back and answer it for you. So I'll get that little ping notification letting me know that you have asked a question. So I want to make sure to get all your questions answered today. Okay, so just in case you don't know me, my name is Una Doyle. I'm the founder of CreativeFlow.tv, a business development coach for creatives. And I help creative business owners to achieve their goals faster, more profitably, and in ways that allow them to do creative work that feeds their soul and fills their hearts with pride. Oh, thank you for the likes. Yeah, keep the hearts and everything coming. Thank you. So today we're talking about lead generation. This is one of the biggest sticking areas that I come across with people, okay? And it was really interesting actually when last year I was looking to run a program, and I was talking about like how to run promotions, okay, and so to really scale your sales. And I just found that every creative I was talking to, they weren't ready to do that. And so they actually had different needs, the people in my community. And a lot of that was around how to attract and convert their ideal clients. And that's where I'm focusing everything now. So I've got some questions in. So let me just check down here. I have that one there. Let me just get this up. Okay, here we go. Let me just make this a bit bigger so I can read it without having to squint all the time. Okay, so first question I got here from Patti Laird. Hey Patti, do you think we creatives need a newsletter/blog published regularly to attract followers? I have tried blogging a couple of times and I just don't like doing it, and I can't manage to make the time to do it. LOL. Okay, yeah, I get you. So the thing is, oh, and by the way, please share this out if you haven't done so already. I am on a mission to help as many creative people as possible to make the transformation into successful creative entrepreneurs where they are happy, healthy and wealthy. So, and this is a really important part of that. So click the share button and click the hearts, and then that'll mean it'll all get shown to more people. Okay, so let's answer Patty's question about, does she need to have a blog? Does she need to be doing a newsletter? So first of all, I want to separate those into two different things, okay? So a newsletter is something that you're sending to people that you already have in your community. They've already given you their email address. So I would actually class them as a lead already. So that's something that happens after you generate the lead. So I'll come back to that. Now the blog, on the other hand, is something that you definitely can use to attract leads. Now what I would say about blogging is that for those who are creative that like writing, or that like doing videos that can then have the videos transcribed and turned into a blog post, which is one of the things that I do a lot of on my blog, then that can be a great strategy. I love making videos, I love live streaming, I quite like writing too, but I like speaking more. So this is, generally my strategy. And so, yes, I do that. And it's great. I tell you where it can be really handy is where somebody's expressing interest and where, you can then send them a link to something that showcases your expertise. But here's the thing. In order to attract a large audience, through the kind of whole SEO, search engine optimization, through blogging, then that can take a long time. And if you need clients now, it's more of a longer term strategy. Of course, you can take those blog posts and share them on social media, but again, that's quite an indirect way of attracting leads. It definitely can work. But I think that this is part of what I want to talk about today, is about making sure you're doing the right kind of lead generation for where you are in business, as well as your natural strengths and talents. Okay, so you might have heard me talking before about personality profiles. So I use a profiling tool called Ignition, and it is designed to help to understand and identify, well, what's your best strategies, what's your best business model even, so what's your best strategies for growth, you know, how do you make that work, what's the best way for you to, you know, structure your time in terms of what you do, what you give other people to do. So there's so many different layers that come out of this. In fact, let me just get a picture up here, and I will share that with you. Yeah, the interesting thing is that when if you are trying to do things that are not in your natural areas of strengths, it doesn't work. Okay, and I think it's really important to basically look to do the things that work best for you, rather than just trying to, you know, kind of do random things. So I think that's why it's important to, because I think a lot of the time people just do random acts of marketing. They're not doing a focused strategy that they know suits them. So yeah, so here we go. This is, I don't know if you'll be able to see this properly. Oops, let me unplug that there. So can you see that a little bit? Okay, meet the travelers. So this is a compass, so it's all about finding the right direction for you. And there are 8 different personality profiles around this compass, and each of them have got 4 different fuels. So you can see these kind of here, 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 and down there, that make up the 8 different profiles. And so the thing that's interesting is that we all of course have got a different makeup of those fuels, and how it shows up for each of us is individual as well. So I know Patti, and she seems to be quite a creative person. I don't know her profile. I would imagine, you know, she probably is more kind of head in the clouds, creative type person. But just because somebody's creative doesn't mean that they want to write. And so this is the thing. You've also got to look at personal preference as well. Okay, so the answer to your question, let me just bring that up again, Patti. So the answer to your question is, do you need a newsletter or a blog? I would say no to blog. There are plenty of people that have successful businesses that don't do blogging. So there are other ways of lead generation that you can utilize. A newsletter, I would say, I do think it's a very good thing to build up an email community. Even though the reach of email has drastically gone down, it is a very direct way. And the challenge with social media platforms is that, you know, it's not your platform. Whereas if you have an email community, then it is your platform, and you can kind of make that work for you. Okay. All right. So, I just realized I have another light here. I can use that. Okay. So yeah. And do you know what? The thing is as well, when you use the strategies that are in line with your natural strengths, then you get to actually be in flow, okay? And that's like a big thing that I'm talking about with my clients, and is helping them to be in creative flow. And that means you get to have a lot more fun. Things just feel easier. Even when you have challenges, you're more comfortable about how to overcome them. You know, you just feel confident about being able to do that. Time passes by much faster, and usually you're quite excited about the things that would have you in flow. So the fact that you're not excited about doing something is a pretty good indication that it's probably not in flow for you. So the trick is to actually, well, what would be in flow for you? What is it that you do? So yeah, if you want to come back, if you want to comment and let us know, well, actually, you know, what kind of strategies do you do? But listen on, because as well as answering these questions, I have a few tips that I want to share as well. Okay, so if you just joined, please do, comment, let me know who's here, and let me know your questions, and I will be happy to answer those as well. Okay, so we've got another question in from Katie Jane Silverthorne. Katie, she makes I've met Katie just this week actually on social media, and she makes amazing kind of animals and things, stuffed animals and that. But they're like keepsakes. They're made from materials that are from, you know, your child or your family, or have some, you know, kind of emotional significance and that. Plus, she's also now creating some kits for people to make their own things as well, and she teaches people how to sew as well. I would so love. I really wish I'd loved sewing, but I think my mum and my home economics teacher killed that from me for when I was a teenager. Anyway, she does some lovely stuff. So she's saying, I'd very much like to get customers that pay the right price, and by that I mean those that understand the work and time I put into my keepsakes. Although my question isn't precisely about lead generation per se, I'd like to know how to find the right customers who are willing to pay a premium price for a premium product. Well, you are definitely not alone in that, Katie. That is so true, and that's one of the reasons why I have set up, you know, focused a lot recently on helping people to raise the prices. And in fact, what I will do after this broadcast is I'll drop a link to a free guide that I have, or you can go and get it from my homepage, creativeflow.tv. If you scroll down, you'll see there's a, you know, how to raise your prices. Click that, is a blog post, and there's a thing at the bottom where you can get the guide. So here's the interesting thing about attracting clients who will pay the right price, is that there's two different elements to that. Part of that is about the lead generation aspect, and the other part is about what happens once they become a lead on the journey to them possibly becoming a client. Okay, so, and that's like a whole other thing, and actually for those of you who do opt into the, you know, who do decide to get the free guide about raising your prices, then on the next page you'll see that you've got the opportunity to join me for a live workshop where you can get to find out all about that. So, but let's focus on the lead generation part of it right now. One of the things that often happens is people aren't necessarily fishing in the right pond, okay? So think of it this way, it's like you're fishing in a little pond and all you're getting is tadpoles. So these tadpoles, they're quite young, they don't really understand the value of what it is that you have to offer, and you know, they don't kind of really need very much to survive. Whereas if you were fishing in a kind of mega river where there was salmon, and you know, you need kind of better bait, and also, you know, but when you land the fish, then that's, I wish I had another analogy for this actually. Just for the vegetarians out there, let me have one if you have a comment and let me know. So the thing is that, but you can see what I mean, is that you've got to go to where your ideal client is. Now, so here, this brings us to one of the biggest problems that I see around lead generation. There's a few of them, I'll mention them as we go through. So one of these problems is that people are not specific enough about their offer. They're not specific enough about their ideal client. So the problem is that they actually do not know where to fish. They have no idea, should they be in that little pond or that medium-sized pond or that river or deep sea diving in the sea, you know, where ought they go? You know, so, and if you don't niche down your business, and I talk about it being as much more than niching, okay? It's about getting really super specific on your ideal client and their ideal pain. It is incredibly hard to generate enough leads if you're not standing out to them for the right reasons. They have to be able to make a connection with you. They have to be able to go, oh, wow, they do this. I could do with that, or I want to know more about that. And so that's what you need to be doing. And so if you're not really specific enough, and I've got a very quick litmus test for you, okay? If I went to your website right now, and just looked without really scrolling or looking around or anywhere, would I be able to tell what you do and who you do it for? Okay? Go and have a look at your website, because most websites are all about the company. They're all about the person. They're not about your ideal client. And so being able to kind of make it really clear, you know, how you help people, that is like the number one thing that you need to do. And only when you get so specific on who your ideal client is, are you going to be able to do that. Now, the other part of this is about that allows you to then really do your research. Now, you may have been in business for a long time and you may really know and understand your clients and what their pains are. But are you actually really using that in the way that you're looking to attract leads? If you're not getting enough leads, then maybe not. Okay, there's one of the reasons why you might not be getting enough leads. But if you want to get the right quality leads, then you've got to make sure that you are fishing in the right pond and that you have the right bait. And you only know what the right bait is when you know, well, what's the specific type of fish that I'm looking to land? Okay, so you've got to kind of track back from where you want to be and look at each step along the way. Yeah. So and the thing is that if you're, hey Connor, thanks for joining. Let us know your question in the comments. So the key thing with this is if you want to attract premium clients, then you've got to make sure that not only are you fishing in the right ponds with the right bait, you also need to make sure that what happens once they become a lead is very relevant for them and demonstrates your value. So help them by actually helping them. And it's the same, you can do this with products as well as services. It can take a little bit more thinking about sometimes. Services, it's usually dead easy. You have some kind of a sample, but you don't necessarily have to give that sample away for free. There are many ways that you can kind of, many different kinds of bait that you can use, for that fish that you're looking to land. So you need to make sure that, because premium price clients, they are happy to invest where they see the value that they want. So you need to be really clear about that. And I think a lot of the time what I come across is people being too generic and they're not specific enough. Okay. All right. Okay, so here's another question. Should I do Facebook ads to get more leads? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, that depends. Listen, I had a classic example with a recent client of mine, and so we came on a call, and they were saying, all right, well, we're doing this and we're doing that, and we're kind of we're taking this one website and the one business, and we're kind of splitting it into three because we have these three different areas we want to focus on. And I was just kind of like, whoa. There's only two of you in the business. They use freelancers as well, but there's only two of you in the business. So how are you going to be able to properly manage, effectively what is going to be three different businesses? That's 3 lots of lead generation. That's 3 lots of, 3 kinds of sales funnels, and then servicing the clients, particularly because they were quite, kind of a variety of creative disciplines, but dealing with different kinds of clients as well. So it wasn't even like, oh, well, we can go after this one client and then once we've sold them this, then they might want this or they might want that. It was just 3 different audiences as well. And so the power of focus is incredible. And I actually said, well, let's talk. And so we, they booked a session with me, and in that we got clear on, well, actually, where did he really want to be going, and decided to drop 2 of the things and focus on one. And then what became clear, this person was actually about to embark on a Facebook campaign with a marketing consultant. And thank God that they spoke with me, because actually all the money that they would have spent on Facebook ads, they actually got to work with me instead. and to be able to take a different approach that is actually going to get them the results they want, because their clients aren't on Facebook. So here's what I would say. If your clients are on Facebook, so if you're selling to consumers or if you're selling to small business owners, then you can probably do Facebook ads, as long as you're not in one of the restricted businesses. But I think most creative business owners that I would be talking with wouldn't be. So, hey Patty, we answered your questions before, but stay tuned because we've got some more things coming up. So this person, instead of spending all that money on Facebook ads and completely wasting it they've been able to get really clear on what I call your client attraction and conversion engine. And so this is, you know, what you need to put in place. So there's like some elements of that you need to get in place, and then there's the elements of actually then making that work, making that engine run and run all the time. And I think that brings me to, hey Charlie, welcome. That brings me to one of the other points that I see is that, and this perhaps is a thing why you might be considering doing Facebook ads, is that you may be looking for another way to generate leads. And sometimes I'm talking to people, in fact fairly often, and they're just not actually using enough different lead generation strategies. So they maybe just have one that they are totally dependent on. And what I would say is, per person working on the business development of the company, you want to have ideally 3 different lead generation strategies that you're utilizing. Now, obviously, the more that you can maybe automate and systemize that lead generation, the better. However, only having one, number one, you're really putting yourself at risk. And I've had it before. I do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn, and then I had something go wrong kind of in how I use that, and it really affected something that I was launching. So you don't want to get stuck if, you know, maybe the algorithm on something changes and all of a sudden your stuff isn't getting seen anymore, and this steady flow of clients you had has just disappeared overnight. So I would look to have 3, at the least 2 different lead generation strategies. And the other thing is about how much time are you actually spending on these. And by the way, please comment with your questions so that I can answer them. I'm going to stay and answer everybody's questions. So so yeah, let's do that. I just want to check the comments here. Okay, so okay, so let me just have a look and see what else have we got here. Yeah, okay, so here's the other part of lead generation is that, you know, in talking about your client attraction and conversion engine, lead generation is only one part of it. And if you don't have the other parts of it working, then it's going to be very hard to do lead generation effectively. Okay, so what we've talked about is using the lead generation strategies that suit your natural strengths and personality. And that was where I was talking about the profiling system that I use, which is amazing. And it just, honestly, what people say when they've been working with this is just incredible. They kind of go, oh wow, I feel like I've had permission to be who I am. I've been fighting against being myself. You know, I had a client just last week saying, you know, that was so incredible because you know, I've kind of known I was like this, but I wasn't allowing myself to be like that, or even when I was, I kind of didn't feel okay with it. So I think it's great to kind of really get clear on, well, what's going to work for you, because I think one of the challenges is that so many people, they'll look at somebody who's successful, they'll look at somebody who's got what they want and go, well, how did they do that? And then they try and copy them. And modeling can be a great strategy, but you need to model someone who's got the same strengths as you do. So, you know, somebody might be going in around Facebook groups and doing a lot of stuff there, and they have great success with it. Somebody else might be doing Facebook ads. Somebody else might be doing lots of content and social media type stuff. Somebody else might be not doing any of that. Maybe they have people doing telemarketing for them, or cold emailing, or warm emailing, or, do you know what I mean, like public speaking, events, live streaming, like I'm doing right now. There are so many different lead generation strategies that you can use, but what are the ones that are going to be enjoyable for you? Because, like as Patti was saying earlier on, you know, she said, and I can't manage to make the time to do it, talking about blogging, which she doesn't enjoy. But actually, why would you make time to do something that you don't enjoy? There's always going to be a higher priority, isn't there? So when you actually have a lead generation strategy that is much more enjoyable for you, then you're much, much more likely to actually do it. So we talked about fishing in the right pond. We talked about being super specific, not just about your niche and ideal client, but about the pain that you help solve. Yeah, exactly. My point exactly, Patti. Yes. So you're going to do it. And I'm curious, actually, Patti, let us know what you typically do right now to generate leads. I'd be curious. So Patti's got an Etsy shop. Feel free to drop your link as well, and people can go and check that out if they're interested. Let them know what you're selling. So yeah, because it's only by getting that specific are you going to be able to really listen to what it is that people want. And that's what I did when I figured out, oh, hang on a second, actually, for my community, they don't want to know how to scale their sales because they've got to get their sales to a certain point, and they've got to put all these things in place first, okay, to make things actually work consistently, so they're not having this feast and famine. So you've got to listen to what's going on. You've got to have, ideally 3, but if not 2 lead generation strategies, and you've got to spend enough time doing it. Now, the other thing that I talked about as well is about making sure you're using the right kind of lead generation strategy for the stage of business that you're at. Now, if you urgently need clients, the best way is actually to directly approach people. So, I do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. In fact, most of my business, even though I've started doing Facebook ads myself recently, most of my business still comes from LinkedIn. And so I post on LinkedIn. I share content and post content on LinkedIn. That's changed slightly because their algorithms have changed, so I'm having to adjust my strategy there. But I do a load of messaging. I connect. I've got over 10,000 connections on LinkedIn. And I'm not saying that to brag, but I just want to show you that, obviously it takes time to build that up. I've been working over the last few years to build up those connections and sending out loads of connection invites every day. And of course, you can systemize doing this stuff that doesn't need to be personal as well. So, but I personally reply, when I'm communicating with people. So don't systemize that or outsource that. So the thing is that that's great. I know if I kind of go, oh, actually things are looking a bit, there's a bit of a dip coming up here, I can just go and step up my messaging with people, boom, get people onto a call, and for the right people, then they'll want to work with me. So that makes it quite easy. You can do the same thing on Facebook Messenger as well. Maybe you want to network, maybe you do public speaking, but it's just think about how long is it likely to take for this lead generation to turn into a client. So quite often, like the social media posting and sharing, that can take a long time to build up your following, to build up the SEO and all of that. Whereas if you directly reach out to somebody, or maybe you make a list of target companies and you pick up the phone and call them, or make a list of target companies and then connect with them on LinkedIn. I've just been talking about that with one of my clients. So they've got a super specific niche, and they were at an exhibition, and so they're going to go and connect to all the exhibitors because they're their potential clients. And they're going to reach out to them and they're going to connect with them. So as long as you are doing it in a way that you're not spammy and that you're actually offering value and you're being a real person, then, and not just trying to, sell on the first date as they talk about, then, like I kind of say, well, if you met somebody you liked, you wouldn't ask them to marry you on the first date because that would be really weird. But it's exactly the same thing in business. I'm sure you've heard that before. So Patti has said, so she's a lot of repeat customers. Great. Yay, Patti. That's good. Lots of word of mouth and Etsy teams. So what do you mean by Etsy teams? Can you explain that? So Patti sells quilts and quilt patterns. So I think, in fact, Patti, you ought to meet Katie, who was commenting earlier as well. Not on this video, but on the notification video. So connect with each other. So the thing is that word of mouth can be really good, but you cannot predict word of mouth and you cannot scale word of mouth. So it's brilliant because when somebody refers somebody else, that trust goes with it. So for instance, I've referred this week, I've had loads of referrals actually this week that I've been giving loads of referrals from clients that I had a massive day, so much coaching at the beginning of the week. And so actually loads of those clients needed some other kind of support. And so I have referred people. Now the thing is, they trust me, so they're going to trust who I refer. So word of mouth works like that, and it is fantastic. And I am part of a referral networking group in Manchester in the UK. So if you're interested in meeting me up there, message me. I'll let you know. Okay, so what was I saying? I completely lost my train of thread now. Word of mouth, yes, I was talking about not being able to scale it. So the danger is if that kind of slows down at all, you're suddenly kind of gone, oh, okay, you can't really do anything about it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you could message your existing customers and say, hey, we got this on offer, who do you know that might like it? So, but obviously you can only do that so many times and they might get a bit fed up with it. So, yeah, okay, so teams, members of teams, oh, right, okay, so kind of like an Instapod, yeah. So members of teams promote each other's shops through favoriting items, repinning on Pinterest and sharing the team's Facebook posts. Awesome. That's a really great thing to be doing because it's proactive, you know, it's supportive and collaborative. So that I can see why that would suit you, you know, your, that you would like that interaction and stuff. So I think an over-dependence on word of mouth can be very dangerous. And I think that's one of the reasons why, like it's funny, it's happened a lot with photographers recently, where they got a successful business that they've had for years, absolutely had for years, and all of a sudden their referrals are drying up. And the thing is that, you know, the whole business world has changed. It's exactly the same in graphic design, web development, you know, animation, all of these kinds of creative services, video production, etc. Is that, you know, people DIY stuff. It's like, look, I haven't got a camera crew here. It's me and my camera. Excuse me. And so lots of people are doing things like this. So you've got to make sure that you are looking to add value. And, you know, perhaps what used to work in the past won't work. And I think this is one of the other things I would suggest with lead generation is to make sure that you are making a note of your numbers. So whatever your kind of 3 key strategies are, keep an eye on, okay, well, how much of my business is coming this way? You know, so how many leads am I getting and what's the conversion rate into actual paying customers or repeat paying customers? And then that way, if you start to see a decline, then you know that something needs to be shaken up and you need to look at doing other strategies. Okay, I know us creators are not the best, naturally, usually, at doing the numbers, but it's amazing how that helps. And quite often, you know, like one of the just to say as well, like I've talked a lot about being super specific on your ideal client, and the biggest objection I get from that is, oh, but I'm going to lose out on so many opportunities if I focus in on this. And always when I work this out with people, like, okay, so what do you want to earn this year? Okay, so how much are you charging? I'm usually saying that's not enough. Okay, let's say you have a package that is this much, or even with your existing package. So how many actually clients do you need? And so, you know, particularly for services, for products, if they're lower price products, okay, that's going to be more. But for services, it's usually not a lot. And it's, you know, quite often it's like if people were to sell, you know, if they were to have kind of somewhere between 1 and 5 new clients a month, they're laughing all the way to the bank. So, yeah, it's if when you do the numbers, you realize, oh yeah, actually I could get really, really super specific and then and really work with people that I want to. So yes, that's really key. Patti, I've also made a bunch of friends. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting. I'm doing this live stream challenge this week, and I'm thinking of I have my weekly show that I do every Wednesday, and I've been doing that since January, and I'm thinking of going and doing more live streaming, and we will be doing a similar thing to what you're talking about, but where we're kind of doing it all live and sharing each other's lives and being on each other's lives. So you might be seeing me a lot more live. Excellent. Okay, so you know, thank you so much for watching this, and if you've enjoyed this free content, I want you to know that I go way more in depth into this in my Creative Success Code program, and by the end of completing the program, you will have a fully working client attraction and conversion engine that is bringing you in a steady stream of your ideal high paying clients. Okay, now if you want to find out more about that, click the link and book a free consultation with me. Now, I am not into kind of heavy sales or anything like that. We will have a conversation and I will make sure that you go away with at least one insight, tip or strategy to help you move your business forward. And if I think I can help you, then we'll talk about going to the next step of the application process. And so it's normally about kind of, it says 15 minutes. It usually takes somewhere between about 20 minutes, sometimes up to half an hour. So just make sure you allow that in your diary so we have enough time. And you'll notice there's some questions that I'm asking on that. Please give as much information as possible when you do that, because I will actually go and do some background research so I can help you more on that session. Okay. So yes, Charlie, I've got several clients in the US. New York is easy. It's only 5 hours behind. I've got clients in California, in Canada. I've just finished working with a client in New Jersey. I've had clients in France. I've also had clients in Australia. That was an awkward time zone, actually. That was a bit challenging. But yes, I'm quite accommodating. I have 1 or 2 evenings that I'll can set aside for later times where required. But yeah, we can usually work things out. What I do have is on the free consultation, I have a Wednesday evening open for that usually. So if it's not been booked up already, you can book in there. But you're only 5 hours behind. So my afternoon's your morning. So I'm sure that will be absolutely fine. So yeah, so click the link and book, and we can have a chat and see how I can help you. Okay, so hey Louise, we're just wrapping up, so go back and watch the post from the beginning, but nice to see you. So thank you everybody for joining me. I would love to help you to grow your business. Please remember to share this out if you haven't already, and I would love your comments on what you found most insightful in what we've talked about today, because that helps me guide the content that I'm going forward with, and let me know if you have any other questions. Okay, yeah, thanks Patti. Yes, it was fun. I know, I love doing this, and I love getting questions and doing this kind of on the spot. I don't know if you have it in the States, Patti and Charlie, but there was a program here in the UK that was called Challenge Annika. It's going back quite a while. I'm showing my age now. And she used to kind of turn up at the studio and be given a challenge and have to go and do this thing with no preparation. So thanks, Charlie. And I did a talk once where I split it in two, and I kind of gave content, a taught in the first half, and the second half was Challenge Una. And I just literally went, okay, give it to me, give me your questions. And that was probably the most fun talk I've ever done in my life. So yeah, do you know what? I need to do more Q&As. Fantastic. Okay, it's been wonderful. Doing this today, and I'd love to help you more. So click the link, book a call with me. We'll have a chat. I'll make sure that you get at least one insight, tip, or strategy to help you in your business. And yeah, and we will take it from there. All right. Have a fantastic week, everybody. I will see you soon. Bye.